What is the typical pawn structure in the Najdorf English Attack? Have you ever wondered about the typical pawn structure in the Najdorf English Attack? This opening is a fascinating choice in chess, and understanding its pawn structure can really help your game. The Najdorf English Attack arises from the Sicilian defense, Najdorf variation. The moves start with 1, e4 c5, 2, knight f3, d6, 3, d for c takes d4, for knight takes d for knight f6, 5, knight c3, a6. For white, the typical pawn structure features pawns on e4 and d4. This setup controls the center effectively. The move f3 is also common, as it supports the e4 pawn and prepares 4 aggressive pawn pushes like g4 and h4. These moves aim to create a strong kingside attack. White often castles queenside, placing the king on c1 or b1, which allows for a powerful kingside pawn storm. Now let's look at black's pawn structure. Black usually has pawns on a6, b7, c5, d6, and e6. The a6 pawn is important because it prevents white's pieces from using the b5 square and supports a later b5 pawn push. Black typically castles kingside, which leads to a solid pawn chain. The e6 pawn plays a key role in controlling the d5 square and helps maintain central control. In this setup, both sides often castle on opposite sides. White castles queenside while black castles kingside. This creates a race scenario where white attacks on the kingside with pawns like f3, g4, and h4. Meanwhile, black counters on the queenside with moves like a6, b5, and b4. The pawn structure is dynamic and can lead to sharp tactical battles. White might look for pawn breaks like f4 to open lines against black's king. On the other hand, black can respond with b5 to undermine white's queenside position. In summary, the typical pawn structure in the Najdorf English Attack involves white's central pawns on e4 and d4, supported by f3, with a kingside pawn storm after queenside castling. Black maintains a solid pawn chain with a6, b7, c5, d6, and e6, preparing for queenside counterplay. Understanding these structures can greatly improve your response to this opening.